Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when everything changes, not because the circumstances shift, not because the world becomes easier, but because the mind and heart align with a new truth. I'm here to tell you that transformation doesn't require years. It doesn't need a perfect plan or even a stroke of luck. Sometimes it only takes 7 simple words to change your life. Yes, just 7 words. They don't cost anything, and yet they carry the weight of power, possibility, and purpose. In a world full of noise and negativity, these 7 words are like a divine whisper cutting through the chaos, reminding you of who you are and what you're capable of. These are not just ordinary words. They are the vocabulary of victory, the language of faith. Speak them with conviction, and you'll stir the sleeping giant within you. Believe in them, and you'll begin to walk a road you never thought you could travel. Let these 7 words settle into your spirit, because what you say to yourself over and overshapes what you do, what you become, and how far you go. Let's begin a journey of transformation right here, right now. Words are not merely sounds that pass through our lips. They are living forces, carriers of power, containers of destiny. Every great change in human history, every breakthrough in the heart of a person, every triumph over despair began with a word. Words have power. They are spiritual tools. When spoken with faith, they become weapons of courage. When repeated with belief, they shape your thinking, mold your emotions, and guide your actions. We underestimate the incredible influence of our own voice. We speak carelessly, we repeat defeat, we echo doubt, and then we wonder why our lives don't move forward. But if we only knew how much weight our words carry, we would never again speak without purpose. Words can heal or wound. They can build someone up or tear them down. You felt it in your life. When someone said something kind, it lifted your soul. When someone spoke with cruelty, it crushed your spirit. Now imagine the power you have when you begin to speak to yourself, not from fear, but from faith. When you speak not as a victim of your circumstances, but as a child of a living, loving, powerful God. You start to use words not to describe your situation, but to declare your transformation. That's the shift. That's where life begins to change. There are 7 words that can transform the very direction of your life. They're not long, complex, or fancy. They're simple, bold, and full of spiritual force. I can, I will, I believe, amen. Say them again. I can, I will, I believe, amen. These words are like spiritual dynamite. They unlock confidence, awaken discipline, revive faith, and seal your intentions with divine power. Let's look at them more deeply. I can is the sound of possibility. It is your refusal to be held down by doubt. It's a declaration that the mountain is not too high, the problem is not too big, the past is not too strong. When you say I can, you open the gates of courage. You give your mind permission to explore solutions instead of excuses. Then comes I will. This is where dreams become action. This is the bridge between desire and discipline. It's not enough to want it. You must will it. You must say, I will rise, I will work, I will not quit. And every time you repeat those words, you are training your willpower, sharpening your focus, and declaring that nothing will stop you. I believe is the heartbeat of faith, faith that God is with you, faith that the impossible is possible, faith that your efforts will not be in vain. This is not blind optimism. It is spiritual certainty, a deep trust that what you are moving toward is already moving toward you. When you believe, your spirit rises higher than your circumstances. You begin to see light where others see only darkness. And then comes Amen, a word so short yet so powerful. Amen means so be it. It is agreement with God. It is the seal of trust, the exclamation point of faith. When you say Amen, you are not wishing, you are agreeing, you are standing firm, you are claiming that what you have spoken will come to pass, and nothing can shake that. So, speak these 7 words every morning. Speak them when you're tired, when you're scared, when you're unsure. Speak them when the odds are against you. Speak them until they become the soundtrack of your soul. Let them rewire your thoughts, renew your hope, and restore your inner strength. Because when your words change, your life begins to follow. Speak faith, speak strength, speak victory. Say it with me one more time. I can. I will. I believe. Amen. There is something extraordinary about simple truths. In a complicated world filled with doubt, fear, and uncertainty, sometimes what you need isn't a complicated solution. It's a simple, powerful reminder that you already have within you what it takes to rise. And these 7 words carry that power. 7 words that, when spoken with conviction, can light a fire in your soul. 7 words that shift your energy, renew your faith, and ignite the kind of action that transforms not just your day, but your entire life. These words are I can, I will, I believe, amen. Let's begin with I can. These 2 words challenge every limiting belief that has ever taken root in your mind. I can says, yes, the road may be tough, but I am tougher. It says, yes, the mountain is high, but I was born to climb. It is a phrase of permission. Divine permission you give yourself to grow, to move, to try, and to overcome. Most people never get past their own doubts, but when you start your day with the words I can, you are breaking the mental chains that keep you small. You're choosing hope over helplessness. You're waking up the dreamer and the doer inside you. Then comes I will. This is where power meets purpose. I will is a commitment. It's a vow. It doesn't rely on mood or convenience. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It acts. I will says, I may not feel ready, but I'm showing up anyway. It turns your hope into hustle. It brings discipline to your desire. When you say I will, you're not just dreaming anymore. You're stepping. You're moving. You're growing into the person God designed you to be. And then, the most sacred of affirmations, I believe. These 2 words are the root of all spiritual power. Belief is the fuel of the soul. It's the torch that burns through the night of despair. It's the whisper of heaven in the noise of chaos. When you say, I believe, you are choosing faith over fear. You are declaring that even if you can't see it yet, you know it's coming. You're trusting the process. Belief connects your effort to a higher power. It lifts your vision. It reminds you that with God, all things are possible. Not just for others, but for you. When you believe, you attract miracles. You begin to walk with a confidence that can't be explained, only experienced. And then, the word that seals it all, amen. This word is not a conclusion. It's a declaration. It means so be it. It is spiritual agreement. It is your spirit aligning with divine truth. When you say amen, you're not just ending a sentence. You're activating a promise. You're locking in your faith, your commitment, and your vision. You're standing in agreement with the unseen, trusting that what you've spoken is already on its way. So, speak these words daily. In the morning, when your eyes open, say them. In moments of fear or challenge, whisper them. When doubt creeps in, Shout them. Let them shape your mindset, your habits, and your destiny. Because these 7 words are more than a phrase. They are a spiritual formula. They awaken your potential. They draw heaven's help, and they build the life you've been dreaming of. Say them again. I can. I will. I believe. Amen. Let them rise from your lips and settle deep into your heart. Say them with faith. Live them with courage, and watch how your life begins to shift in powerful and unstoppable ways. I can. 2 words, just 2, but in those words lies the seed of greatness, the spark of courage, the beginning of a new chapter. When you say, I can, something powerful begins to shift inside you. It's like unlocking a door that's been closed by fear for far too long. It's like striking a match in a room that's been dark with doubt. I can is not just a phrase, it's a mindset, a decision, a declaration of inner power that tells the world you refuse to be defined by limitations, by failures, or by the small opinions of others. It's the first step in breaking free from the chains of impossibility. Many people live their lives under the heavy weight of I can't. I can't succeed. I can't change. I can't rise above this. And that mindset becomes a prison. But the truth is, every time you whisper the words I can, you are choosing to believe in your potential more than your pain. You are choosing to focus on what is possible instead of what is holding you back. You are telling yourself that what lives inside you is greater than what stands against you. You may not have all the answers. You may not feel ready. You may not have the support or the resources just yet. But I can is not about having everything figured out. It's about believing that the strength, the wisdom, the guidance will show up along the way. It's about giving yourself permission to try, to move forward, to grow through every setback. The moment you say, I can, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You take responsibility for your life. You tap into a divine flow of energy that empowers you to take action, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Saying, I can, doesn't mean you won't face obstacles. It doesn't mean there won't be moments of fear or struggle. But it means you won't quit. It means you'll rise again. It means you'll learn, adapt, push forward, and keep showing up. Every success story you've ever heard, every person who overcame the odds, started with the belief that they could. And that belief pushed them to act, to persist, and to achieve what once seemed impossible. Think about how many moments in your life changed because you dared to believe you could. Think about the times you took a step in faith, the times you faced your fears, the times you surprised yourself. Those weren't accidents. Those were the results of saying, deep within your spirit, I can. And that same power is still in you today. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time doubt creeps in, the next time you're tempted to shrink back, say those 2 words. Say them with boldness. Say them with fire. Say them until they drown out every voice of fear in your head. I can overcome. I can grow. I can rise. I can heal. I can become who I was born to be. Say it, believe it, act on it. Because the moment you say I can, you've already won the first battle. You've already stepped into the light. You've already begun to shift your reality. Your words are powerful. And when you speak life into yourself, you awaken a force that is greater than anything you face. So hold your head high, lift your spirit, and declare with confidence and conviction, I can, I will. These 2 words carry the weight of decision, the power of resolve, the spark that turns a distant dream into a present reality. When you say I will, you are doing more than making a statement. You are making a promise a promise to yourself, to your purpose, to your future. You are saying that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how long it takes, you are committed to seeing it through. I will is the voice of action. It is the language of the determined, the courageous, the ones who rise even when it would be easier to quit. Dreams are beautiful, vision is necessary, but without action, they remain wishes floating in the wind. That's where I will steps in. It's the bridge between the life you imagine and the life you live. It says, I am done waiting. I am done making excuses. I am ready to take the next step. It moves you from talking to doing, from hoping to building. It does not rely on perfect timing or perfect conditions. It rises in the middle of the storm and says, I will move forward anyway. Every great achievement in history was born from a moment of I will. I will try. I will stand. I will push through. It is that stubborn decision to act, to rise, to continue even when progress feels slow. When you say I will, you are not ignoring the obstacles. You are declaring they will not stop you. You are not denying the effort. It's a commitment to bring everything you've got, no matter how difficult the road may be. I will doesn't need the approval of others. It doesn't wait for applause. It runs on purpose. It is fueled by a vision that burns inside of you. It's what gets you out of bed when you feel like giving up. It's what keeps you working late, showing up early, doing the things no one sees. Because deep down you know your purpose is worth it. You know your calling is bigger than your comfort. You know your breakthrough depends on your ability to stay committed even when your emotions waver. There will be moments when your faith is tested, when the voices around you say, you can't. But I will stands firm. It's not based on feelings. It's rooted in decision. You decide to keep moving. You decide to keep believing. You decide to do the work even when no one else sees the progress. That is where the power lies, not in the ease of the journey, but in the fire of your will to keep going. When your heart gets tired, when your body feels weak, let I will be your strength. Let it remind you that you were not created to give up halfway. You were created to finish strong. You were born with a purpose that requires perseverance. Every time you say I will, you're stacking bricks of discipline, building a future on the foundation of action. Say it to yourself when fear creeps in. Say it when doubt starts to whisper. Say it when you want to throw in the towel. Say it until your spirit believes it. Say it until your feet start moving. I will rise. I will heal. I will win. I will be who I was meant to be. There's nothing passive about greatness. It's not inherited. It's built with every I will. You choose to speak and live. So don't wait. Don't wonder. Don't wish. Decide. Declare. Do. Say it with your whole heart and soul. I will. I believe. These two words are more than a thought, more than a feeling. They are the breath of your spirit, the heartbeat of your dreams, the foundation upon which every great life is built. When you say, I believe, something shifts in the atmosphere around you. You are no longer just existing. You are creating. You are no longer reacting. You are declaring. To believe is to see with your heart before you ever see with your eyes. It's the ability to trust in a promise before you hold the proof. And that is the power that changes everything. Belief is the soul's answer to fear. Where fear says, what if it doesn't work? Belief says, what if it does? Where fear whispers, you're not enough. Belief shouts, you have everything you need. Belief is not about pretending that life is perfect. It's about knowing that even in imperfection, progress is possible. It's not about denying the pain, but about trusting that pain has a purpose. When you say, I believe, you are stepping into a partnership with something greater than yourself. You are connecting with the divine, anchoring your hopes in a source that never fails. This kind of belief is not shallow. It's not based on convenience or comfort. Real belief endures. It holds on when things don't make sense. It chooses light even in the darkest night. Faith isn't always loud. It often whispers quietly in your soul. Keep going. You're not alone. Something good is coming. That's what I believe does. It gives you the power to keep walking when the path disappears. It gives you peace in the waiting. It gives you courage in the unknown. When you say, I believe, you are not just speaking about the future. You are shaping it. What you believe determines what you do. Your thoughts become actions. Your actions become habits. Your habits become your destiny. Belief is the blueprint. If you believe you are capable, you will act with confidence. If you believe that your life has purpose, you will live with intention. If you believe that God is guiding you, you will walk with peace no matter the storm. And yes, there will be storms. Belief doesn't eliminate the struggle. It gives you strength to face it. It doesn't take away the valley, but it promises that you won't walk through it alone. Every champion you've ever admired, every story of triumph you've ever heard, was built on belief. They believed when no one else did. They believed when they were tired, broken, misunderstood. And because they believed, they kept going. Because they believed, they found the strength to rise again. You have that same power, that same spirit, that same seed of greatness inside you. And it begins to grow the moment you say, I believe. Believe in the goodness of God. Believe in your ability to change. Believe in the calling that was placed on your life before you were even born. Believe that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Believe that your best days are not a distant dream, but a rising reality. Say it again and again until your soul feels it. Say it until your doubts grow quiet. Say it until every part of you aligns with faith. I believe. Speak it in the morning. Speak it in the silence. Speak it when the world feels heavy. Speak it until it becomes your truth. Because the power of belief is not just in what it says, it's in what it creates. And when you truly believe, there's no mountain too high, no dream too big, and no challenge too strong to stop you. Amen. A word so small, so often overlooked, yet it carries the weight of eternity. It is not just a way to end a prayer. It is a declaration, a seal, a spiritual agreement between your heart and heaven. When you say Amen, you are saying more than just let it be. You are declaring with confidence, with authority, with trust, that what you have spoken in faith is already being answered, already unfolding, already set in motion. Amen is the language of assurance. It is the voice of one who has prayed, who has believed, and who now stands firm with expectation, knowing that something greater is working behind the scenes. Many people speak their hopes with hesitation. They whisper their dreams with fear. They send their prayers into the universe like fragile paper boats, not knowing if they'll ever return. But when you add Amen to the end of your prayer, you anchor it. You lock it in with faith. You don't say it as a question. You say it as a certainty. You don't speak it as a wish. You speak it as a witness. Amen says, this is settled. This is agreed upon. This is now in the hands of the Almighty. There is peace in this kind of trust. There is rest in this kind of surrender, because when you say Amen, you are releasing control and stepping into divine alignment. You are no longer carrying the burden. You are placing it where it belongs. You're not striving, you're standing. You're not begging, you're believing. You are taking God at His word, and you're saying, I know you heard me. I know you're working. I know it's done. This one word shifts everything. It transforms your prayer from a hopeful plea into a faith-filled decree. It changes your mindset from I hope to I know. And that shift, however subtle, is the difference between living in fear and walking in faith. It's the difference between waiting with worry and waiting with worship. Amen is not the end of your words. It's the beginning of your victory. Think of how often Jesus used the word. He would say, truly, truly, or in the original language, Amen, amen, I say to you. He used it as a stamp of authority, as if to say, you can count on this. It was never casual. It was always powerful. And when you say it, you are speaking in that same authority. You are agreeing with truth, standing in power, stepping into agreement with divine will. And this isn't just about religious tradition. This is spiritual law. What you affirm, you empower. What you agree with, you give permission to grow. When you say Amen to your purpose, you give it room to expand. When you say Amen to healing, to hope, to break through, you are declaring that heaven has heard and now it is done. So the next time you pray, don't rush past it. Don't mumble it out of habit. Say Amen with purpose. Let it come from the deepest part of your soul. Let it rise like a roar of confidence. Let it echo in your spirit until every doubt has been silenced. Because when you say Amen, you are not just finishing a sentence. You are finishing fear. You are finishing worry. You are finishing the cycle of hesitation and stepping fully into trust. Speak it over your life. Speak it over your family. Speak it over your goals, your calling, your next step. And when you say it, mean it. Say it as if all of heaven is waiting on your agreement, because it is. Say it as if your destiny depends on it, because it does. Amen. So be it. It is done. Speak these words daily. Make them a part of your morning rhythm, the foundation of your thoughts before the world even has a chance to speak. Before the noise, before the stress, before the doubts have time to creep in, speak these words like a declaration of life, strength, and purpose. Words are more than just sounds. They are seeds. And what you plant in the morning, you will harvest throughout the day. If you speak fear, you'll walk in fear. If you speak strength, you'll carry strength. And if you speak faith, action, and vision, then that is exactly what your day will reflect. Stand in front of the mirror, not just to check your reflection, but to speak to the person who needs the most encouragement, yourself. You don't need fancy speeches or perfect phrases. You only need these 7 words. I can, I will, I believe, amen. Say them slowly. Say them with purpose. Let them settle in your chest. Let them rise up from your spirit. Say them until they are no longer just words, but a living truth in your heart. The world around you may try to fill your mind with negativity. You will hear voices, external and internal, that say you're not enough, that things won't change, that your efforts don't matter. But these 7 words are your shield. They push back against every lie, every doubt, every discouraging whisper that tries to limit your potential. They are like spiritual medicine, restoring your focus, reviving your energy, reminding you of who you are and whose you are. Don't just say them on good days. Say them on hard days. Say them when everything is going right, and say them louder when everything feels like it's going wrong. Speak them not because everything is perfect, but because you are choosing faith over fear. These words are your anchor. They keep you grounded in truth when your emotions try to pull you in the wrong direction. They remind you that even when the storm rages, your foundation is strong. There is no magic formula here. There is only consistency. Every day you speak these words, you are reprogramming your mind. You are replacing thoughts of defeat with thoughts of determination. You are shifting from doubt to belief, from passivity to purpose. The more you speak them, the more you will begin to act in alignment with them. That's when change begins, not just in your circumstances, but in your character. Eventually, these words will not only live in your mind, they will shape your actions. You'll start making different choices. You'll walk into rooms with more confidence. You'll pursue your goals with more intention. You'll pray with greater expectation. And you'll face life's challenges not with fear, but with quiet strength and unwavering faith. It's easy to underestimate small habits, but speaking life to yourself every day is not small. It is powerful. It is holy. It is healing. It is life transforming. The person who begins their day by saying, I can, I will, I believe, amen, is not the same person who lives in defeat. That person is a builder, a warrior, a believer, a light bearer. That person is you, so make it your routine. Don't wait for the world to encourage you. Speak encouragement over yourself. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Create the moment with your words. Let your voice become the first voice of victory you hear each day. And when you do, you'll begin to rise higher, stand stronger, and live with greater clarity, purpose, and peace. Speak these words daily, and you will change the story of your life. There's something undeniably powerful about a story. Stories have the ability to touch hearts, break down walls, and bring hope where there once was none. And when it comes to transformation, the most inspiring stories are not always the loudest or most dramatic. They are often the quiet victories, the daily battles won in silence, the lives turned around not by some grand miracle, but by a simple, steadfast decision to believe in something greater. The truth is, these 7 words, I can, I will, I believe, amen, have not only inspired minds, they have changed lives. Real people in real pain, facing real struggles, found strength in these words and walked into a new chapter because of them. Take the story of a young man who once stood at the edge of hopelessness. He had lost his job, faced rejection after rejection, and began to believe the worst about himself. Depression began to settle in. One morning, barely able to get out of bed, he heard a voice in a podcast simply say, "Speak life. Start with what you believe." He wrote those 7 words on a sticky note and stuck it to his bathroom mirror. I can, I will, I believe, amen. Every day, even when he didn't feel like it, even when tears blurred his vision, he repeated those words. Slowly, his confidence began to return. He applied for one more job, then another. He started showing up again, not because the circumstances changed overnight, but because he changed. The words built a new mindset, and within months, he landed a job better than anything he had imagined. But more importantly, he found peace, purpose, and power again starting with a sentence. There's also the story of a woman who had battled illness for years. Doctors had given her discouraging reports, and her body felt like it was giving up. But her spirit wasn't ready to quit. One day she sat quietly, holding her chest and whispering, I can, I will, I believe, amen. Over and over again, it became her prayer, her affirmation, her fight. These weren't just words to her. They were her medicine. She believed in healing even when the reports didn't change. She said, "I can heal. I will keep going. I believe in God's power." Amen. And healing didn't just happen in her body. It happened in her soul. Her strength returned. Her joy returned, and over time, so did her health. Then there was the entrepreneur who faced failure after failure. He had invested everything into his dream, only to watch it fall apart more than once. His finances were gone, his confidence shattered, but one morning after hearing a sermon about speaking life, he wrote in his journal, "I can, I will, I believe." Amen. Those words became his compass. He no longer let failure define him. He stood back up, reworked his vision, and stepped into action again. Today, not only has his business succeeded, but he mentors others, teaching them how to start each day with faith in their own voice and in a power greater than themselves. These are not just nice stories. They are reminders that words matter, that speaking with faith, even when nothing around you makes sense, creates a shift. These 7 words are more than affirmations. They are life anchors. They carry courage when fear is heavy. They speak hope when the night feels endless. They are simple enough for a child, strong enough for a warrior, and sacred enough to move heaven on your behalf. So when you speak these words, know you are not alone. You are joining a movement of people across backgrounds, across struggles, across the world, who have taken hold of these words, breathed them into their lives, and risen. They stood up, they moved forward, and they changed their lives. And so can you. Faith plus words equals power. That simple equation holds more truth than most people realize. Words alone can be powerful, yes, but when you infuse them with faith, you move them from the natural to the supernatural. You're no longer just saying something. You're declaring something. You're no longer speaking out of fear or frustration. You're speaking with divine authority. That's the difference. When faith energizes your words, you are not just trying to encourage yourself. You are stepping into agreement with your Creator about who you are and what is possible through you. You are prophesying over your future, setting your direction, shaping your destiny one sentence at a time. Think about it. Every time you open your mouth and speak life, you are creating something. Words are seeds, and when those seeds are planted in the soil of belief, they grow into action, character, results, and eventually legacy. When you say, "I can," without faith, it's just positive thinking. But when you say it with faith, it becomes a command to your spirit. It becomes a declaration to your fears. It becomes a message to heaven and a warning to hell. I am not giving up. I am not staying down. I am rising by faith. That is why what you speak over yourself matters so much. Your words are not just passing thoughts. They are creative instruments. The tongue may be small, but it can build a life or destroy one. It can lift or limit. It can bless or curse. And every time you choose to speak with faith, you are choosing to walk the higher path. You are choosing to lift, to build, to declare that something greater is coming. Even if you don't see it yet, even if the evidence is still catching up, you don't need to wait until everything is perfect to speak like it's already done. The truth is, your words are like spiritual bricks. Every time you speak faith, you're laying the foundation of your future. You're building your house one sentence at a time, and when storms come, and they will, you'll stand not because of what you see, but because of what you've spoken. You've already claimed peace. You've already declared breakthrough. You've already called favor into your life. And what's even more powerful, When your words align with God's promises, you're not speaking empty hope. You're speaking truth that cannot return void. You don't have to be a preacher or a public speaker to prophesy over your life. Every person has the power to speak destiny. Every person has the ability to use their voice as a tool for transformation. And it's not about shouting or being loud. It's about being intentional, saying what you want to see, not just what you currently feel. It's about calling the future forward and speaking as if it's already real. Wake up in the morning and say, "Today is full of opportunity. I will walk in wisdom. I am blessed. I am guided. I am favored." Speak it, believe it, and then walk like it's true. Because when your words and your faith are aligned, doors begin to open. The right people begin to show up. Strength begins to rise. It's not magic, it's mindset powered by belief. So don't waste your words. Use them to build, to declare, to create. Speak over your family, your career, your body, your mind. Speak over your dreams, your decisions, your direction. Speak over your fear and tell it where to go. Faith-filled words are not passive. They are active weapons. And when you use them with boldness and consistency, you don't just change your day. You change your destiny. Faith plus words equals power. Speak it, and then step into it. Start today. Don't wait for a better time. Don't wait for more energy, more confidence, or more clarity. Begin right now, exactly where you are, with exactly what you have. Start with the decision to shift your words, to take hold of your mindset, and to plant a new pattern in your daily life. These 7 words, I can, I will, I believe, amen, aren't just phrases to recite. They are principles to live. They are the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to go. If you've been feeling stuck, lost, overwhelmed, or even forgotten, let this be your turning point. Let today be the beginning of your rise. The power is not just in speaking the words, it's in living them. When you say, I can, act like you believe it. Take that next step, however small it might seem. Even the tiniest step forward is still progress. When you say, I will, attach it to real commitment. Don't just speak about what you're going to do. Do it. Build that habit. Start that project. Write that chapter. Make that call. Follow through with intention. I will turns your daydreams into daily action. When you say, I believe, don't just repeat it with your lip. Anchor it in your heart. Let that belief drive your thoughts, your attitude, and your response to obstacles. When the situation looks the same, when nothing seems to be changing yet, when the process feels slow, keep believing. Belief is not about seeing immediate results. It's about trusting in the unseen, holding on to hope, and moving forward with confidence that your faith is not in vain. And when you finish with amen, say it like you mean it. Say it with authority. Say it as your final word over your day, your goals, your emotions. Amen is your seal of trust. It says, I've spoken my truth, and I trust the outcome to something greater than me. It frees you from worry and helps you release control. When you say amen, you're not walking away uncertain. You're walking forward with peace, knowing that the seeds you've planted will bear fruit in due time. Speak these words when you wake up. Speak them when you're walking into a tough conversation. Speak them when the weight of life feels heavy. Speak them when you feel excited, and speak them when you feel empty. Make them a part of you, not a reaction to circumstances, but a rhythm that shapes your perspective, your habits, and your future. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. The more you live these words, the more natural they will become. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come, not because everything became easy, but because you chose not to quit. Let this be the beginning of your new chapter, a chapter marked by faith, focus, and action. A chapter written with intention, a chapter where you no longer wait for permission or signs to begin. You speak life into your journey every single day, and if you fall, if you stumble, if the old habits creep in, don't be discouraged. Speak the words again. Every new day is another chance to start. Every new morning is another invitation to grow. The journey may not be easy, but it is worth it. The climb may be steep, but the view will be beautiful. So start today. Speak the words, believe the words, live the words. Let them guide your actions, shape your thinking, and fuel your faith. And as you do, watch your life begin to rise, not by accident, not by luck, but by the power of daily intentional belief. This is your moment. Say it loud. Say it bold. Say it with fire in your soul. I can. I will. I believe. Amen. Walk out today with faith in your heart, power in your words, and the unshakable belief that with God's help, nothing, not one thing, is impossible for you.